clever, Kronk. Time to talk about the Emperor's New Groove. Just kidding, the Emperor's New Clothes, but you know I'm gonna mention the Emperor's New Groove later. So like I said, today we are talking about Hans Christian Andersen's very famous story, The Emperor's New Clothes. It's so famous, the phrase, the Emperor has no clothes, is an idiom in modern English. But we're told at the very beginning of the story is that this emperor is obsessed with new clothes. He spends all his money on new clothes. It says he does not trouble about his soldiers, he doesn't go to the theater, all he cares about is his clothes. So right off the bat, we do not see him as a very likable character because most of us want our leaders to be competent and not completely vain and self-centered and only worried about how much people like them or how special people think they are and motivated entirely by flattery. One day these two con men come to town and they think, you know what, this king is going to be easy to take advantage of. And he is. They say, we know how to weave the most amazing cloth you've ever seen. In fact, it's magical. Anyone who is stupid or unfit for their job will not be able to see it. It's invisible to them. And the emperor, like everyone else in this story, and like us a lot of the time, immediately thinks, well, I'm not stupid. I'm fit for my job, so I'm not worried about this. It will be visible to me, but this will be useful. I'll look amazing, and I'll know about the people who work for me. I'll know who's stupid and not fit for their job because they won't be able to see it. So these guys set up their loom, and you have to give it to them in this story. Through most of this story, they are working their butts off, pretending to weave this cloth and make this suit. Like day and night with some epic pantomiming, sweating, just, I imagine they either had to be so committed or just so into it, like enjoying how they're fooling everyone because they pretend weave for most of the story. And they go over the top, like explaining all of the colors and patterns. They're like red and yellow and green and brown and scarlet and black and ochre and peach and ruby and olive and violet and fawn and lilac and gold and chocolate and mauve. My fellow theater nerds who've been in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat will get it. I had to do that. Emperor is actually a little bit worried. He's insecure, like most of us. He's scared he might not see the cloth. So first he sends the wisest man in the kingdom. And the wisest man goes and he can't see it. And he believes the con men and the act that they're putting on. And he doesn't want to seem stupid, so he pretends that he does. He's like, my whole life's work. I'm the wise man. If I can't see it, my whole life's a lie. So he lies. Then the king sends someone else. He lies. And so finally the king, I know he's the emperor. I keep saying king. You know what I mean. He finally is like, all right, I'm going to go look myself. Oh, and I just want to add, in the story, the emperor pays them up front. He gives them all the money before they even start working. And then they ask for some materials and they pocket that too. So like they could have just ditch town right after this. But I think it was probably safer to just keep up the ruse, be like, we made it. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, everyone's still pretending to believe them up to this point. So the emperor comes down and he pretends too, because he doesn't want to seem like a fool. Which is, of course, part of the irony that in an effort to seem smart and not seem foolish, they are all falling into the hands of these con men who are counting on them to be foolish enough to let that happen. Now, during this time, the townspeople have all been hearing about this. Like from the start, they're excited for this outfit. They know that these weavers are making this special kind of cloth, and they're like, I can't wait to see which of my neighbors is stupid. The emperor's like, all right, I'm ready for my big parade. And so, you know, he lets them put the clothes on him and pretends he can feel them. The people who are supposed to be carrying his hem pretend to carry a hem. This is the part that always got me. I'm like, once you realize that you can't feel anything, that the air's still hitting you, that there's no substance to the fabric, wouldn't you say something then? Because never in the story do they say stupid people can't feel it. They just say stupid people can't see it. But actually, it's brilliant because, as we'll talk about towards the end, that is how deep self-delusion can go. You can have something in your hands and not realize the truth. The emperor parades down the street in his underwear. It specifically says he does have this canopy, but people are carrying it in the story, but they're not here, whatever. And as we know, everyone in the crowd pretends they can also see these amazing clothes and that he's not just in his underwear. Until one small child finally just goes, he doesn't have any clothes on. And of course, it's a child, because the child is free from all of these hang-ups that makes us lie and pretend to seem different than we are to other people. Child sees it like it is, calls it like it is. The next sentence after that is the father of the child saying, everyone listen to the child is right. So it's cool the child is immediately believed, and it spreads through the whole crowd, and eventually the whole crowd is like, he is naked, isn't he? Like, they come out of this self-delusion together and they feel safe enough to say what they're really thinking, and they're like, this dude's naked. So the emperor hears them whispering, and it says in the story, he immediately, once he hears them, knows that they are right. He realizes he has been conned and he is naked right now. But he thinks to himself, oh well, the procession must go on now. He has to keep going, and he does. And even the people holding his train are like acting even more than ever, like they believe it. And that's one of the truest parts for me, especially in recent years, the idea that someone gets called out for a lie, but just keeps going, walking with it anyway. And it works. I mean, it's not like he stops being emperor at the end of this story. He probably just continues the way he was before. So the main themes of this story are pretty obvious. The danger of blindly following authority or the crowd, of that kind of conformity. The danger of self-delusion. Because like I said, we kind of like the thieves in this story. We want the emperor to be mocked because we want a competent emperor. We want the people to be mocked because we want to think we're better than them. But doesn't that kind of make us like the people and the emperor themselves? Everyone in this story thought they were too smart to be taken in by a con, and everyone in this story was taken in anyway. Maybe we're being self-delusional by not admitting that that can happen to us too, and actually does happen. All the time. Besides being a great comment on humanity, the story has given us the phrase I mentioned earlier.
The emperor has no clothes.
And one of my favorite Disney movies ever, The Emperor's New Groove. Does not follow the whole invisible clothes thing, but definitely follows a foolish leader who needs to learn a lesson. And if you didn't know that Eartha Kitt, who voices Yzma,
act of highest treason has but one punishment. Death. Guards! Take him away!
is the same person who sings the most popular version of Santa Baby.
Santa baby, just slip a sable under the tree for me.
I can't say that my book, Dust Spells, which is a retelling of the Grimm fairy tale, The 12 Dancing Princesses, has anything to do with The Emperor's New Groove, but if you like my storytelling, I tell a whole story in here, so check it out.